Today we are reviewing viewer submitted VOD, and I'm going to critique it by explaining exactly how you can destroy your competition in Call of Duty ranked play. So like and subscribe if you enjoy these type of videos. We're starting out here with the Hacienda control, and I believe this is a platinum and diamond lobby. But the number one mistake that I'll see a lot of these players do is not reposition depending on what the map looks like. So you see here they have obviously some favorable positioning, literally look exactly where their opponents spawn. But here's the problem: even after getting stunned, even after seeing people on both sides shooting at them, they do not decide to reposition. Now, in terms of Hacienda control, there are two very important aspects of this spot right here in particular. Number one is the obvious one. You're able to hard aim where they spawn and spawn trap them, which leads to high kill gameplays, a lot of fun, but also stops your opponents from getting towards the hill. The second important reasoning for being here is that your opponents normally spawn actually right where this player is standing. So just by being in this area of the map, they're pushing the opponents to spawn further back, making it harder for them to get to the objective. The only problem is this is not the only spot that you can go to that will push that spawn further back. You can also go up to top plat where they were earlier, and you can even go to the office looking down the steps, and that's enough to push them out of the back spawn. You don't have to fully engage in that gunfight. You can still be beneficial to the team even while not actively getting a kill, if that makes sense. They could have wrapped up to top plat or played top office, played their life a little bit while also still maintaining enough pressure on the map to push their opponents back. And the second mistake that we're going to talk about is actually related to movement and centering. And speaking of movement, today's video is brought to you by Scuff Gaming. The controller that I use now is the Verdansk PS5 Scuff Reflex, featuring mouse click triggers, remappable paddles, and you can even add Hall effect sticks if you like. There are actually some super exciting things coming to Scuff in the next few months, so stay tuned, especially during the Black Ops 7 beta season. So check out the link in the description down below and use code LunchTime at scuffgaming.com. And let's get back to the video. One thing that I'd like to see more is some more strafing mid gunfight. That slide right there is actually pretty good. If we go back, it's a slide into the hill followed by an ADS, good centering on the guy that's lower. They just end up winning the gunfight, likely because they have favorable positioning as well. Unfortunately got shot by multiple opponents, which also might have caused them to lose that gunfight. But in terms of that specific instance, I wouldn't change very much about their movement, minus of course the strafing left and right while trying to get more horizontal aim assist. So here this seems to be their default route, is working up top closed and then kind of pinching B from behind, and we'll see how this works out. I do like the movement here, but one thing that I might change, the only reason right here that I would do a slide and not ADS is if you're expecting somebody to be very close to you, like close enough to hip fire. And because nobody's contesting the objective right now, that doesn't quite make as much sense. Sliding itself is good, but you might even want to have been ADS'd in case somebody was out here, or at least check it first before fully sliding out, because you are on the objective. Your opponents are going to be turning around looking for you. Don't get me wrong, it ends up working out, but that's one thing that I would change from a movement perspective, is to kind of tie in both your movement and your centering together, where you're predicting your opponents to be, and make sure that you're not just sliding just to slide. You're doing it with the intent of cammering your opponent or changing your positioning so that you'll have a better advantage in the gunfight. So here, working towards B, some very good shots. They see that somebody's outer fence and they're going to stack A with their teammate. Let's see how they play the remainder of this. Okay, I don't hate it. Playing towards the spawns. One thing that we need to talk about here is that every time you spawn up, the first thing that you should be doing is looking at the minimap, taking in the big picture of the game, and deciding where you're most important. So I don't hate the idea of funneling towards B. Going mid is definitely beneficial. It's not a bad play. But one thing that I would ask is, after you go mid, where are you going to go that's most helpful to your team at this point in time? So against better teams, a lot of players are going to be holding these cutoffs on either side. And so it might be more helpful to push with your teammate instead of going separate. The teammate ends up getting singled out by somebody that's top closed, pushing towards them. But one thing that I'll ask about this route is, what does going top right mid accomplish right now? Given the minimap and the big picture of the game, you're trying to work towards B, you're down on lives, and you need some ticks. Your teammates are already out on B, and they're going to need your help. While I'm not a perfect player and sometimes going top open might be the right decision, in my mind, at least how I'm looking at this right now, is your teammates are fighting for their lives, 3 stacking the left side, and your opponents are going to be either top closed or on B site, maybe top plat. They're going to need your help unless you take this route quickly and are looking to help from top plat quickly. It seems like your positioning right here is hurting your team more than it is helping your team. But I'll let the rest of this live play out to see if I'm wrong at all. So here, top plat, this is perfect. This is exactly where you need to be. And you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe pushing the top right and mid is the only way to get there. But let's see how they continue to play this. They're working towards the spawn kills. They could have played it a little bit slower top plat, especially given how few lives are left. 2v5, they need to hop on the objective. This kind of looks like a lost cause, but let's see what they can do. They even out the lives to 2v2. Unfortunately, nobody's looking at the minimap right now, but let's see. Not all these plays so far are bad. They're more so questionable. They're still getting a lot of kills and they're contributing to the team. But one thing I feel like they can improve on with their positioning is making sure that the routes they're taking are actively contributing to better map control and better map presence for the team as a whole. So here they are. The nade's a little bit early. It probably won't hit anybody out or B. But I like the idea of holding a lane top mid. I would react a little bit sooner though. Yeah. There's 2 down. I believe one is still either on B or close to B. Yeah, they're contesting right now. So here's another... This I don't love. Like, the fast flank is good, but by the time that you hit the flank, look, there's multiple dots on B. Your team's all dead, and they're capturing the zone. One thing that I would do differently right there, you have a great power position from top secret. You actually already get a kill from here. And yes, they know that you're up there. But that doesn't make the positioning any less valuable. Just because a play is like flashy and might lead to flanked kills in the back doesn't mean that it's the right one. You know, sometimes if instead of flanking, you just looked from top secret, even if you don't get a kill, let's say you get somebody weak, or let's say you get somebody on the point looking at you instead of at your 3 teammates that are pushing from the front of the hill. That alone can be enough to sway this objective in your favor. If you decide to hit this flank route like the player does, by the time they're ready to actually be in the play and contribute to the team, their 3 teammates have already died and their opponents have already pretty much captured the B zone. I'm sure they're going to end up getting like a kill or 2 off of this flank, and that's fine. It's kind of at the cost of losing the objective, or nearly losing the objective. I guess they make the clutch play. Nice. The flank ends up working out, but I still think it would have been more beneficial to challenge from top secret, because if their opponents were better, they would have triple or quad stacked the B zone and it would have been captured before they hit the flank. I like the idea of holding mid right here, but one thing that we need to go back on is like, this is 2 times in a row where their positioning might seem okay from the perspective of just watching, but if you play enough control, especially on Hacienda, you should know that the sticky spawns are the ones at the well, so way back here. So the fight for control on Hacienda is definitely more catered towards the B zone unless you play against a team that's doing a lot of wrapping towards A. The majority of time, especially in low rank lobbies where people are just looking to run and gun, you're going to find everybody on the well side of the map not really benefiting your team very much by being here. If this player loves to play mid, top secret's going to be key, and they're going to hit another flank route. So this is a good play right here. They're able to push the spawns back further out. Yep, he should catch him on the deep left. It'd be one thing if their teammates weren't getting kills and they weren't really helping out the squad, but pushing their opponent's spawn back as well as getting the cutoff kills, both good. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier. Unless you push out past like the shed right here, the opponents are going to keep pushing from well fast because they're spawning close. They're going to continue spawning close until you push them out to make them spawn further back. So next time they're playing on Hacienda control, be ready for these gunfights a little bit faster. They're still frying, don't get me wrong, 23-9. But at least as I can tell right now, if they can prioritize better positioning and being there for their team, they're going to win so much more often. So they lost the last offense. Let's see if anything's going to change or be improved upon for this one. That was going to be a big kill right there. To be honest, I won't blame that on the player that we're watching, because their teammates here off the rip really did not get a ton of control on the B side of the map. They were last alive or second to last alive, and they needed to play their life anyways. I don't necessarily hate jumping out and trying to finish this kill right here. A shame that it doesn't work out, but I'm going to stop and back up right here because we talk a ton about spawns, especially in Hacienda control. Real quick, if you can tell the difference between this spawn that we're seeing right here and this spawn that we're seeing right here, this is the more default B spawn. You're closer to well, and most people after spawning here are just going to bang out the B site. So when this player spawns here, further back on the fence, they should know that even though their teammates are here on B, they don't have as much control of the site and they don't have as much control of mid. So they end up wrapping towards mid, which is actually a good play because they know that an opponent's going to be there. They see the guy top right. That guy being there towards top mid is enough to push that spawn back even further to where we're seeing right here. So there's a lot that you can learn. Every time that you spawn is like a hint that you can analyze to determine where your opponents are going to be. Teammate is somehow on A by themselves, despite all the opponents being on B. It just seems like there's a lot of like people not helping each other as much as they should. I'm glad that they have control of the A zone. They're working on it, but I don't know if that's necessarily the priority right now. At the very least, he's helping out his teammate on A, which is good. He's first one up, and opponents have plenty of control of the B side, yeah. What they could have done differently right here, I mean, just looking at the minimap, They are completely solo. This player is on an island, and their teammates are spawning lobby instead of well, which means that the opponents have pushed up either closer to the well or past well. I don't hate the idea of jumping up and working out towards B, but it might have been more beneficial to just kind of wait for a second or two before doing that jump out, just so you have teammates close enough to get the trade. Doing that by yourself just leads to a cycle of single channeling. Not only are you losing lives, you're out of time too. They're playing towards the top plat. This is great because his positioning right here is going to push his opponents further back. They'll still be 10, but they won't be spawning like right next to 10. 6 to 10 on lives. Okay, that's good kills. Another teaching moment right here. They see the 3 people here on the minimap, so pushing up towards this head glitch again is actually a really good play. However, if this player back here was a little bit faster, they would have caught him sprinting right here. I might have done a slide and an ADS just to be ready for somebody to challenge that head glitch. It ends up working out, but let's see how they continue to play it. Looking for the spawn kills. Great. Yep, he needs to take top plat control here. The stack is fine, but now top plat is open. So this play ends up working out right here, but let me rewind just so we can play that again. They're top plat, and they get the kill. As they're running down, they see all 3 dots on the right side of the map here. After they get this kill, they should know that the other 2 opponents have already pushed out towards mid and can easily flank like bottom U or top secret like they are right now, or even get to the plat. So stay here for a second. Yeah, that's fine. But after that first kill comes through, I feel like what they need to do is play through top plat right here. If you give up top plat control, stacking is important, don't get me wrong. But if you give up top plat control, that just gives your opponents an easy way to hop on the time and have power positioning to shoot down on the time. The stacking works, but you will get punished for giving up plat control that easily against better teams. So you need to not only think about like the fact that you're spawning your opponents further back, but you need to think about the routes that they're likely going to take because of that spawn. They're likely not going to challenge that head glitch you were just on. They're going to be going from top steps to top office to then jumping down top plat. All of this is like a delicate balance between wanting to work towards the objective, but also wanting to push the opponents far back enough to where you don't want to prioritize kills or focus on kills too much, but you also want to make sure that you're not giving your opponents like the proper spawns and proper positioning. They need some help outer B. One is on B, so watch out, watch your back. This is just an example of where minimap awareness will take you to the next level. Right here, they see somebody's on the outer part of the fence. I like the idea of trying to triangulate the guy on B with your teammate that's top plat, but you're exposing your back to this player that's outer fence. What might have been a better route would be to flank the outer part of the shed, maybe first looking towards kills that would be at well, and then killing this player in the back, then worrying about the person on the B point. Instead, not only are you challenging that person head on B, you might get shot in the back from the person that was outer fence. So just being a little bit more aware of the minimap. So one person's in their base and he goes to spawn trap. Not a bad play. Your teammate should be able to handle that one guy in the spawn. And being lobby will be enough to make the opponents not spawn at well, which is good. Gets a few quick kills in the spawn and stays alive long enough to push their spawn further back. Filling the lanes towards B that your teammates weren't taking. They aren't pushed up far enough to make them spawn deep well. They're still going to be spawning close, like that back fence spawn we were talking about earlier. Yep, their only option is to just full sprint. Nice. Good kills. And just like that, 3-1 victory with a 42 and 17 KD. And really, there's a lot of good aspects to this gameplay, but there are also a lot of things to work on, specifically related to positioning and minimap awareness. So if I were this player, I would continue to review your own VOD and ask yourself as you're going different places on the map, how am I helping my team? How am I benefiting my team by my positioning at this current time? Especially when we're talking about routes off spawn, you're last alive after a wave of kills and you need to wait for a little bit. Spawn trapping versus pushing the opponents back, that healthy mixture between the two. All in all, great gameplay. Thank you for sending it in. If you want me to react to your VOD, check out the link in the description down below for my Discord and look for the VOD review submissions chat. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will catch you next time at lunchtime.